SCWAW as well, and in collaboration with the Watch Dogs Film Festival, which is starting tonight, and in collaboration with a few partners who are supporting us, such as the Embassy of the Kingdom of the Netherlands, the Foundation for the Polish-German Cooperation, and also Ideal Films. It's a company based both in Poland and in the Netherlands. As we're having today one guest who's from the Netherlands, who will be speaking first, is Boland, and another guest sitting over there, Mike Robbins. Thomas will be talking about his work at the MONIKER studio, while Mike will be talking about his project. It's a VR project about Aleppo, and you will be able to enjoy the project yourself and experience it in the adjacent room. There's a bike set. So the plan is to have 2 presentations, then to have a discussion and a talk, and then have some drinks, which are brought to you by Ideal Films. And at the end of the day, if you want to enjoy and have a look at the presentation, you're welcome to sit in the adjacent room. And without further ado, we would like to welcome Thomas on stage.
Yes, so hello, thank you all for having me. I'm Thomas Boland. I'm a creative developer at MONIKER studio in Amsterdam. You can see all of us here. Yeah, we don't really like to label ourselves, or normally all those labels are not fitting anyways, but we are a graphic and interactive media design studio based in Amsterdam. MONIKER was founded in 2012 by Roel Wouters, Luna Malber, and Jonathan Pucky. Jonathan Pucky left 2 years ago, and since then we grew into our current form of 6 designers slash developers slash video people, everything. On the left, I don't know if I'm standing in the view or something.
Yeah.
That's very unfortunate. I don't know how I can. Maybe should I move over there? Is that better? Sorry about that.
Try.
That's slightly better.
Yes.
Yeah. Good. This is the boring part, so that's you didn't really miss out. So on the left you see Luna and Roel, the co-founders of MONIKER, and they are like all-round creative people who basically come up with all the crazy ideas. In the middle you see Jolana, it's our graphic designer. She's packaging all those crazy ideas into like a visually appealing package. And on the right you see the development team, which I'm part of together with Cher. And there's one guy missing, Grisha, designer slash developer slash video guy, who was not part of our team during this photo shoot. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the background of MONIKER before talking about 2 projects we did recently. Before MONIKER even started, Luna, Roel, Jonathan, and their friend and collaborator Pedro Paulus, they were recognized for their method of designing. So not for their visual style or for their medium they were using, but for the way they were working. And they thought it was a bit strange, so they started to research what that would actually mean. What is their approach? How are they actually designing things? And out of this research came this manifesto, the Conditional Design Manifesto, which basically is like a guideline for designers and artists for a certain way to do projects. And it's not really about the end result, but it describes how you can design a process, like how you can collaborate together and make something interesting, although you don't even know what the outcome will be. So it really treasures the process as a product and not the product itself. So So it's about creating frameworks and rules in which those processes can take place, and often use human input or nature to like a very non-strict input that would, like, together with the strict input, create very interesting results. So very unpredictable. Probably I should just show an example of what that would mean. I'm not sure. I think most of us were all at the workshops earlier. I already showed this. But when they were researching this conditional design, they would get together every week at Luna's kitchen table and started to do workshops. And this would basically mean that one of them would prepare some instructions, and that the others, or all together, they have to really execute those instructions like a computer, basically, like a human computer. So here you can see 4 people working together on one big piece of paper, and it would start with one of them, the leader, to start drawing, and the other 3 people have to mirror that drawing as precise as possible. And then after 30 seconds, the role of the leader switches, and then the others have to mirror the leader again. And they keep doing this for like a very, very long time, and they really have to focus to do it as precise as possible, because when they make just one little mistake, this mistake does not only show up in their little drawing, but it basically affects all the drawings together, and can really make the others a bit angry, because they now have to make adjustments to their drawing. And that is what they found in this conditional design. It's very interesting that all these mistakes show really the human factor in these rigid systems, and that's what they were focusing on, and that's what they keep exploring. So these workshops we still do in our studio. This is a very recent workshop we did. We basically wrote like a small algorithm that would detect physical tape that you would put on a table, and we would project balls in little different sizes on top of it, and they would get held back by the physical tape. That was all we had, so that was all we knew, and then we just started playing with it without any plan whatsoever, and we ended up with this contraption that would sort the balls by size. That was basically what we thought was funny to do with this algorithm. So we kept going a little bit, and kept working on this framework of detecting tape and projecting over it. And this time we didn't really know what the rules were. We only were given the instructions to just put tape on the wall and see what would happen. So you can really see us testing out this tape, and like, how does it work? What would happen if the tape would overlap? What would happen if the tape is crossing it? And we found out that the circles basically would be as big as possible unless there would be another piece of tape close to it. So then we started placing the tape in really ways to make the projection react as heavy as possible. We wanted to create the biggest reaction, which was pretty hard, but we really like this way of interacting with a digital entity that we don't really know. So we're really playing with it. And that's a little bit of how we as a studio work. We do these workshops where we come up with ideas. We're starting to keep working on it until that's like basically ready for a project to use it in. So if you have any great ideas for a project, then please let me know, because it's now basically ready to use. Yeah, this is not so good. Why did that happen? Sorry about that. So the first project I want to talk about is Sculpture Cam. It's an interactive, collaborative photography project. You can visit it in the browser on your mobile phone at sculpture.cam. That it actually is an extension. So the client was a sculpture park near Manchester, the Yorkshire Sculpture Park. It's a really, really big, beautiful park that has like hundreds of sculptures all over the park. And they asked us to make a digital participatory project where users would be engaged with the sculptures. So we were thinking, like users, like visitors already are taking pictures of the sculptures, but we thought it was just too casual. They're not really appreciating the sculpture. They're not really, how do you say that? Exploring the sculpture, really like learning about it. So we want the visitors to take a better look at the sculpture and have them take pictures of like specific angles and combine all those pictures together. Thank you. Combine all those pictures together into like a 360 or 360 camera 360 film. So that was the idea. So we give the visitor the silhouette. They have to find the matching sculpture. They have to find the matching angle, and then they take a picture of that. We would combine all those pictures from all different users together and create a 360 video. So to start doing that, we first needed to create a 3D model of all the sculptures that we wanted to have in the game. So we used a technology called photogrammetry, which basically is combining a lot of photos from the sculpture from all different angles, combining them together in a piece of software, and that would then create a 3D model out of it. The next step was to basically mask it. So you get the idea. You get now the silhouettes. And then instead of 360 degrees, we thought, well, 120 different angles is probably more than enough to get like the idea about it. So we split them up in 120 angles. So you can already see that this looks very beautiful. So we did that for like a couple of sculptures, for 10 in total. And these are basically all the angles of one sculpture that a user has to find. So you can already imagine this is going to be quite hard and really challenges the user to really study the object, which basically was the goal of the whole project. And this is one specifically very hard one. I guess it's for the expert level. So we created a promo video for this with some nice drone shots and custom composed music, but I have the idea that the custom composed music is not really going to work tonight, but we'll see. It just really explains how the app will work. I could try, but should I leave it on or? So that's how it works. That's how you contribute. Obviously, it only works when you're actually there. So I know it's far away, but if you're near Manchester and the weather is really nice and you want to do this, this is the only place you can do it.
Does it work only with nice weather, or?
Does also work with horrible weather, except, yeah, I'm not sure if the touching on the touchscreen works very well, but we were there in May. It was beautiful weather. It was really nice. If you're not in the park and you go there now, you can see the contributions of other people. So we kind of covered that aspect as well. There's also a desktop version, but it just shows basically what you just saw, all the contributions that were made right now. So this is one of the results of, I think, somewhere in May. This is the Buddha by Nicky de Saint Paul, like 120 images. I think that basically worked very well. So whenever a user takes a picture, this contribution is added to this film. He gets like this film on his device, can share it, he can download it. It will also be shown in the visitor center, where there's like a big screen and people can see that this is happening, that they can be part of this. So these are all 10. Some of them are definitely more being contributed to, like the octopus is a bit empty. So what's interesting about it is that it always is changing. Every time somebody takes a picture, it is changing. So if somebody is taking a picture in the dark, it will be a dark one, or if it's really sunny, you get more reflection, or if it's snowy, and maybe you would see some snow. So we are really looking forward to seeing all the different seasons come back in these movies, GIFs. So that's also what we want to do with this project, is to embrace basically the user-generated aspect of this. Everybody has a different phone, different type of camera, different weather conditions. That quality really, yeah, you can really see this different in quality in all the photos. It also means that when people are looking at it, it's always different for them. So the sculpture is never the same anyways. And what we always like is when people like take a little bit of the liberty to hack the system a little bit, like standing in front of it, or taking a picture of a screen that has the picture on it, or try to like pose like Buddha. We really like that to show like for lectures. It's nice that people really enjoy it. They go a little bit further. So the last other project I'm going to talk about is called Paperstorm, a crowd-based campaigning tool we built for Mozilla Advocacy. That's an organization from Mozilla, the people behind the Firefox browser, that are campaigning for a free and open web. And they asked us to come up with a campaigning tool because they had campaigns coming up about copyright in the EU and net neutrality in the United States. I'll be showing, like, we built basically the same tool, but for the second campaign we went a little bit more crazy. That's what I will be talking about. So I'm gonna, I don't know, well, we're just gonna shortly talk about net neutrality. So last year, the FCC, the Federal Communication Commission, that's good. They are in charge of the communication like regulation in the United States. And they were proposing a bill basically rendering all internet traffic unequal, which would kind of, I'm doing this really simple, it would kind of mean that you could be charged more if you want to use Facebook, or you want to have a fast Netflix connection. So it would be really, this inequality on the internet would also mean that people with like, or companies with less money, or people with less money would have like a worse experience. So of course, we needed to take action against this, and we needed to mobilize people and talk to their representatives to prevent this from happening. So we needed to spread a message to a lot of people in a big way, in a large way. So we got inspired by airborne propaganda. So what would be the easiest is to just get all those messages in an airplane, throw them out of an airplane and drop them over to people. It would be like pretty like bad for the environment, but pretty nice looking, I think. Like, imagine it all coming down on you, raining paper. Like normally in like the Second World War, for instance, they had like messages for civilians, like how to stay safe, or to scare them, or like that kind of messages. It was really a propaganda tactic. So we wanted to try to convert this idea into like something virtual, because that's what we do. We do virtual stuff a lot. So this is what we built. These are the leaflets we designed. So they are addressed to the boss, I don't know, the supervisor, the head of the FCC, because he needs to, we needed to convince him that this would not happen. Like, we printed the leaflets out and we crumble them up, and then we scan them in again to get in this, give it this gritty old school look. And then we had to create a virtual world. So this was our virtual world, and instead of just dumping them all at once, we let the user be in charge of where they would actually drop the leaflets. And we give them like a goal. Like the goal was to cover the FCC building. That's basically the marker you see there. To cover that building completely. That was the goal. And whenever they would drop a leaflet, and they would reach some milestones like 20 leaflets dropped, 100 leaflets dropped, or like global milestones that everybody, like all people together had dropped a million leaflets, they would get like a little notification, where they could click on like Twitter or Facebook and would automatically share a message and mention like people, like their representative would mention them, so they would get a notification on Twitter, and so they would tell the representative that this is an important message and they should do something about it. So a lot of people, they kind of ignored our instruction to drop it all on the building, but of course we were fine with that because they were like even creating their messages out of our message, and yeah, they were looking for the more darker parts of the map because that has the highest contrast, so you can really make some pretty nice drawings if you're really patient. And yeah, work together with, it's really nice, like this border on the water. So this is also, it's not really about net neutrality, but it is about the free and open internet, that we are still able to leave messages on the internet, and this is a place where you can still do it. I mean, Tumblr was recently shut down, or not shut down, but they removed the not safe for work section. Like, censorship is getting more and more on this big platform, so I think we should like really think about it. So that's why we like doing this. Like this is like a nice way to use the internet. Some more drawings. And although we built like scripts, or built some checks to prevent people from like scripting and like hacking it, but I think people still manage to do it because it's a very nice font. I cannot imagine that a person would really do this all manually, although you never know. But in the end, 22 million leaflets, yeah, that's really 22 million, were dropped, and the building was completely covered. But unfortunately the bill was passed, so I think they're still fighting over it, so go to Mozilla Advocacy and see what you can do. And we stored, like every single leaflet we stored in the database, all the timestamps, all the locations, so we can create a time lapse, of course. Yeah, so besides just being very impressive to see all those people like making crazy drawings, I hope it also shows a little bit like the importance of like the open internet, that we should be able to collaborate online and send messages to each other, not be censored, hopefully too much. And for us it's also really important because a lot of our projects, like the previous project as well, is all browser based, and we want to like have like the nice thing about making browser-based projects is that you're not in the hands of Facebook, or not Facebook, like in the hands of Google or Apple, that have to review and put them in the App Store we really want to be as inclusive as possible, so that everybody just can go like on their mobile to and take part of our projects. So we really think it's important that the web should be open and free and keep the internet weird. That's very important.